The Unseen Neighbors. On the outskirts of a town called Elderwood, an old, battered sign creaked in the wind, announcing the start of Maple Street. The street was once vibrant, with kids cycling on warm summer days and families sharing stories around backyard barbecues. Now, it was littered with fading paint, collapse-ready fences, and the heavy aura of neglect. Each house wore dust like a shroud, and the only signs of life lingered in the echoing whispers of the wind. Samantha Wilson had moved there not by choice, but because of her parents' latest decision to seek a fresh start. At 16, she felt like a ghost wandering through an unwelcoming graveyard. One afternoon, after unpacking boxes filled with memories she wished to forget, she picked up her phone and scrolled through social media, looking for a distraction. That's when she stumbled upon the subreddit that would change her perception of her new home forever. Creepypasta was a hub for spine-tingling stories, creepy folklore, and the unnerving legends of the internet. One thread, titled, "The Unseen Neighbors," intrigued her with its chilling allure. It told of eerie figures that lurked in the shadows, never visible to the naked eye but always known to be there by the cold sense of dread that wrapped around passengers in cars or residents in their homes. According to the tales, they would start as fleeting flutters in the corner of your vision, mere mischief makers until you no longer sensed them and they began to feed off your fear. Samantha chuckled at the stories, dismissing them as silly internet folklore. Her night swayed into sleep, the terrifying tales of the unseen neighbors melting into her dreams. But when morning arrived, it brought a dawn-colored crimson, as though blood had spilled across the horizon. Days passed, and as she settled into the mundane rhythm of school, she noticed oddities about the street. Her neighbors seemed wary, their curtains drawn tight, muttering low voices that stilled when she passed. Occasionally, she would catch glimpses of shadowy forms darting behind trees or moving just outside her peripheral vision, but she chalked it up to the remnants of her weekend binge on creepypastas. It was on a Saturday evening, while the sky bled into twilight, that she heard the laughter. Not the joyful laughter of children, but something unsettling and wild that sent shivers down her spine. Samantha stepped out onto her porch, scanning the street for its source. Her gaze fell upon the Johnsons' house, their porch light flickered. Curiosity piqued, she stepped across her threshold toward the old, decrepit home. A part of her wanted to call for help. Another part dragged her forward, drawn to the laughter that rose and fell like waves against a beach. With each step toward the Johnsons, the laughter filled her ears, echoing around her like an unsettling symphony. As she walked through the wilted grass, she noticed a strange shimmer in the air, like heat rising from the asphalt but colder. The world around her dimmed, and for the first time, she felt true fear. She was not alone. In the depths of the shadows, something watched her, its unseen eyes penetrating. Suddenly, the laughter stopped. Samantha turned abruptly, her heart hammering against her ribcage. The shadows began to stretch, and from the edges, forms began to appear, indistinct figures, cloaked in night, with elongated limbs and grinning faces dripping with malice. They were the very creatures from the stories, skittering closer yet always remaining just out of her direct view. Panic surged through her, forcing her to sprint back towards her house, but as she turned, the path twisted, elongating, becoming an endless stretch. The figures emerged gradually, weaving through shadows, always on the verge of visibility. Their laughter became a haunting chorus, and she realized they had no intention of letting her go. Frantically, she recalled the thread on creepypasta. Was there a way to escape them? She remembered some advice said to turn and confront the unseen neighbors, exposing them to light, to the truth of who they really were. Gritting her teeth, she swung around, facing the figures head-on. "Leave me alone," she cried, her voice breaking. The figures lurched, as if truly seeing her for the first time. For a heartbeat, the laughter faded, replaced instead by a deafening silence. As if the shroud of their power was slipping, she felt a rush of warmth, sunlight breaking through the gloom. "I'm not afraid of you," she shouted, her voice echoing against the once intimidating atmosphere. The figures recoiled, their forms flickering and distorting, either dissipating or transforming. Suddenly, the world around her shimmered, and with a surge of courage, she could see them clearly. They were distorted shadows of her neighbors, twisted by their own fears and regrets. Each face echoed a lost part of who they once were. Slowly, they melted back into darkness, leaving nothing but silence behind. Gasping, Samantha turned and bolted home, heart racing with the exhilaration of survival. She remembered the old tales. Fear can bring the unseen into the light, where they can no longer hold command. Though she could still hear faint giggles in the twilight, she had faced the darkness and won, for now. That night, as she fell asleep, she understood. Maple Street was not just a place to live, but a reminder that the shadows of our neighbors often run deeper than the facade they present. And sometimes, confronting the unseen can reveal truths better left buried.